Welcome to the Russ Joy Show. I'm Russ Joy. Figured that out because you're smart. It's also the name of the show. Hello. It's a wonderful Wednesday, I think. Seems like a pretty wonderful Wednesday. Hope everybody's having a blast out there. Hope you're all having a great day. We're having a pretty good day here. All things considered, things are going pretty well here at the Russ Joy Show. It is a Wednesday, and today we're doing a Wednesday with, and I have somebody that I wanted to bring on the show, somebody who occasionally spars with people in the comment section. No, it's not Ford. I'm bringing on somebody that I can actively trust to not blow the show up, at least right now. Video Guy Amadeo's here. Video Guy Amadeo, how are you?
Doing good. I guess that's a compliment I'll take for not trying to blow up the show here.
It's a low bar. Low bar. I'm not setting high expectations here. So we've got Video Guy Amadeo here. We have a lot to get into on today's show. I gotta tell you, it's been a weird few days, and Amadeo, I'll probably get to this with you. I actually sent you a legitimate rundown of great things today. But one of the things that I didn't have on the docket is there's like a little bit of Radio Warsy stuff going on right now. And I might end up making that a thing for Friday. But there have been some interesting things going back and forth. Listen, Elliot Shore-Parks put out a thing about how this game against the Chiefs on Sunday is an okay loss for the Eagles, effectively writing them off. It's fine. Fine if the Eagles lose this game. It's a hard to win situation, blah, blah, blah. And it pissed a lot of people off. And I still just remain very much in the camp of if you're listening to Elliot Shore-Parks, if you're reading Elliot Shore-Parks' tweet as anything other than parody, that's on you. If you're taking tweets like that and you are holding them as gospel, you might need to convert religion, right? There are some things that just don't make sense. And there was a lot of outrage. I'm looking for the exact tweet. Here it is. I found it. I'm going to bring it up on the screen, and then we'll react to this, and I'll get to where some of the jabs came in from elsewhere. But this was Elliot Shore-Parks' tweet. This came out on Tuesday morning. This is what ended up leading the day, I think, over at WIP for at least part of the day. Elliot Shore-Parks tweets, Sunday is an acceptable loss for the Eagles, borderline impossible spot versus Kansas City coming off a loss and in their home opener. Getting blown out is not acceptable. Losing is. That's fucking dumb. But people reacted to it because of course they did. So Amadeo, I'll throw this to you first. You see a tweet like that saying that Sunday is an acceptable loss. Your thoughts? 610. Oh wait, no. 215. Go ahead.
I mean, how can you look? Sometimes when you go into a game, you can understand why you would lose, but now that you have Jalen Carter, who's not getting suspended, thankfully, I mean, you also coming off of last year's Super Bowl. Of course, the Chiefs are gonna try to come out to the best possible abilities, but with saying that a loss is acceptable, I mean, you can't do that. We can't be doing that. We can't be doing that. It's the dumbest take in the world.
It's dumb. And again, as I said, it's one of those things, people get themselves all worked up. They get in a tizzy. I talk to enough people, and I've talked to enough people who work in Philly sports radio to know that, there are some people that work in radio that you go, all right, these people work really hard. They do their best. They try their hardest. Sometimes the results are great. Sometimes they're not. You have people that are considered insiders or hired to be insiders. They do whatever job they do. They do whatever work. The quality is kind of subjective. Elliot Shore-Parks is a carnival barker, but he is down covering the team. So it's tough because it's one thing if you're somebody who throws out a goofy take like that and then doesn't show your face in the locker room. He does. Now, whether or not the players are in on the joke or not, I don't know. I can't imagine that this guy believes a lot of the shit that he puts out. But it is good engagement. And he's got 110,000 followers or something in a local market, in a niche market, right, in Philadelphia. He has built up a hell of a following, and you got to give him credit for it. But again, if that's the kind of thing that really gets in your crawl and drives you nuts, you got to find other things to be upset about, right? It doesn't mean that he doesn't do a decent job. Like, from people that I know that work at the station and have worked at the station, they think highly of the guy. They like the guy. I think if you talk to them away from things that are on the record, maybe they have a few unique things to say about the job and about the way that he goes about the engagement. Like the training camp stats thing has always been bullshit. But again, if you are following the guy on Twitter, you're following for that kind of stuff. I bring this up because Bill Colarulo took another kind of passive shot over at WIP again. And the Fanatic actually highlighted it on Twitter. It was like a 3-minute clip. And it was him talking about the rage bait stuff again. And about how he wants to bring this show to Philly Sports Talk in the afternoons that doesn't rely on callers, doesn't require hot takes to try to get callers to come in and call in and take up 4 hours of time and make the show easier. That he's going to, put a lot of research in. He's going to put a lot of the hard work in. And it's interesting because to me, that's the challenger brand kind of thing. It's the thing you're supposed to do if you're getting dog walked. And I'm not saying Colarulo, as I haven't looked at the ratings since Colarulo took over in the afternoon. I don't actually know if they have a ratings book out since he took over full time. I don't think they have. He's doing what he's supposed to do. Now, could it rub people the wrong way? Maybe. If his show ultimately doesn't prove to be that different, people will call him out for it. If he doesn't have well-researched thoughts or opinions, people will call him out on it. It's an interesting way to look at it. I don't know. Where do you land right now? Let me ask you this. I don't listen to a lot of sports talk radio because I'd probably throw myself out a window. It's a basement window, so it's not going to hurt me that much. But do you listen to a lot of sports talk radio? Do you have a leaning either way? What are your thoughts?
I mean, realistically, you know where my work stance is with you, Broads. The only time I listen to radio is when Broads is on there because I got to support my boss, my friend, and all that stuff. But besides that, I really don't listen to anything because the afternoon show with WIP, Jack and Fritz and Spike, their takes on Jalen Hurts, very annoying. Gilio annoys me. Fanatic has really gone downhill ever since. Is it Fanatic? I feel like people keep trying to say Fanatic is going to work up something big very soon or something like that, whether it's Marks or something. I remember seeing that on Twitter like a couple of days ago.
A lot of people have kind of had the theory out there. There was a theory out there, and it might end up being right, but there's a theory out there that Marks could take over for Missinelli, or maybe he goes back. I don't think he's going to go to the afternoons. Like, if he ends up back at Beasley, it's not going to be the afternoon. He was doing well in the afternoons on WIP. It's a lifestyle thing. Doesn't want to do afternoons. I do remember a day, Amadeo, where he and Gargano hosted a morning show on the Fanatic, and it was actually a pretty good morning show. Nobody could beat Angelo Cataldi. I think that Marks in the morning could actually work. But again, that's a lifestyle thing. Do you want to have to go to bed at 8 o'clock to wake up at 2:30, get into the studio, do the prep for it? Do you want to live that life? I'm not sure that he does at this point. Middays makes the most sense. They've got their guy in the afternoon in Colarulo. You would think that at some point they're going to figure out this morning show. I'm actually interested in when John Kincaid's contract runs out, if he gets renewed or not. I don't enjoy his show in the least bit. I don't enjoy his personality. In the few times that I've interacted with him on Twitter, maybe he's a nice guy. I've met some people who have worked with him in the past that have not always had the greatest things to say. The WIP of it all is interesting. It's you don't have to change anything. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. People can be upset, right? This is where you kind of come back to, you choose the media you choose to listen to or to watch. All of the wonderful people who are in the comment section right now, I'm going to pop the comment section here over Amadeo's Flyer shirt because I don't have another place to put it. The people who are in the comments right now on YouTube and X and Facebook, if you're on X, you have to click the video, go into old Periscope mode, and you can comment there. These people who have been filling up the comments over on the Russ Joy Show YouTube channel for the most part, and are now going to start populating, because we know the ones that are already up there, the 20 or 30 comments, won't come up. It's from this point on. These people choose to watch the show. The people who listen in the podcast feed choose to listen to the show. If you watch or listen to this and say, I want somebody who's going to take things super, super seriously, very buttoned up, and bring me every micro detail and advanced analytics to the table, if you come here for that, you're in the wrong place. I did an impression of Gollum on the last show with Phillies Karen. All right? I stood here talking about the pulses. Like, this ain't the place to come if you want to talk about advanced analytics, all right? Love everybody out there, but that ain't what this show is. So if you could like get angry about that, knowing what this show is, that's kind of more on you than it is on me. If you're going and getting yourself worked up because you follow Elliott Shore-Parks and then you're getting pissed off that he puts out a hot take, that's on you for following him. If you don't like having people talk about Jalen Hurts, and, you know, I think I brought up the Joe Giglio example on Monday, but like the idea that, well, I'm just giving up on the idea that this offense is going to be dynamic, that the passing offense is going to get better, more explosive, blah, blah, blah. If you listen to Giglio, or you follow Giglio, or you follow WIP's account, and you're getting angry, you can just unsubscribe from it, or you can unfollow it. Like, you ultimately have the choice on what's in your feed for the most part, right? If you see Bill Colarulo taking shots at WIP and saying, you know, make the switch and there's a better, and you don't like that, you don't like the shots he's taking, then you don't have to follow him, or you don't have to follow the Fanatic. It's funny to me how people get all worked up, and it's like, one of my favorite things is when you see somebody who says like, you're an asshole, I don't like you, blah, 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 blah. And then you click and it says follows you. Like, I have a few people on Twitter who hate everything that I say, and then they tell me I'm an idiot, or they write about me as if I'm not there while tagging me in the tweet. And then I click on their profile and it says follows you. I don't know what we're doing here. You know, I just don't get people.
It's hate watching. That's what it is.
It might be, but I don't know. Is it rage? Is it just hate watching? I mean, by all means, you can subscribe to the channel. You could leave a super chat and, you know, tell me how dumb I am and how my forehead is a 5 head or maybe a 6 head, depending on how I wear my hair on a day. But like, what do we get upset about? You know, I just think it's really funny. Peter Tom Willis, by the way, had a nice thing to say. So now we highlight that comment. It says, Russ being self-aware about his show makes me a bigger fan. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I kind of want to get off of this now. That's like the radio of it all. There's some interesting stuff that I think is kind of going on in Philly radio right now. That might be a Friday topic. I do want to get to the biggest news of the last couple of days, which is that justice has been served, Amadeo. And it's justice that we all had kind of hoped for. It's justice that we knew that we could believe in. It's justice that ultimately should have been served in the moment and wasn't. And that, of course, is that Jalen Carter has not been suspended. We all know that there is injustice in this world, and we can get into what that means. We're not going to on this show. That's far too serious. But let's talk about the injustice around Jalen Carter. He got booted from a game where Dak Prescott very clearly spit in his general direction first. But Adam Schefter put this out yesterday, made us feel warm and fuzzy in our tum-tums. Or was it Monday? It doesn't matter. We don't care about the legit. We don't actually care about the timeline. But Schefter put out, NFL is fining Eagles defensive tackle Jalen Carter $57,222 for spitting on Dak Prescott. The league also says the game he was ejected for will serve as a one-game suspension. Quote, after talking to the Eagles, the NFL, and the NFLPA, Jalen has decided not to appeal and focus on the Chiefs game, said Carter's agent Drew Rosenhaus. Now, the good news here, if you're looking for a silver lining in all of this, of course he's not going to appeal. What you going to appeal $57,000 when you're making millions? Probably not. You can't get back the game that they suspended you for. There was a follow-up tweet by Schefter that as part of this not appealing, the Eagles apparently agreed that they're not going to void any of the potential bonuses or anything that's in Jalen Carter's contract, which is good. Were you surprised at all that the league didn't try to come down harder on this? We talked about Schefter on McAfee the other day saying that, you know, the NFL made a really big point to not demean the game, not bring down the game. Are you surprised at all that they didn't try to sneak in another game suspension?
It's a yes and a no to this type of thing, because this is what the NFL does every single season. They'll harp down on certain things like they did with the Nolan Smith, taunting thing, which was an absolute joke in itself as well. They say they're going to harp on these things. They're going to put more emphasis on these calls. And then by week 4, they won't emphasize it anymore. They're just we're going to do this, and then they'll slowly roll it out. I'm kind of surprised that they didn't give Carter an extra game, but it's also put it to the fact that technically he was suspended one game. He didn't play the game whatsoever. So I think they did the right thing. Obviously, what he did was stupid, but according to the rules, when I did my research, no one really gets suspended for spitting on somebody. So they did right by the rules and just fining him. And, the game ejection was the right thing to do. So thankfully, it's not any longer than it needs to be. But there was also an inkling slightly in my mind that they might suspend him just so they're their pretty boy Patrick Mahomes, Kermit the Frog, won't go 0-2 on the season?
I don't want to see.
There's like a little bit of rasp in there. You can't go full Kermit. Kermit is here.
Patrick Mahomes. It's I wasn't.
That's almost like Louis Armstrong, though, isn't it?
Oh, in the Saints.
He's like somewhere in the middle.
Or a little bit of Bundleruski.
I don't want to have Jalen Carter coming my way. Isn't what I wanted. Maybe Roger can suspend him for the week. That'd be really great.
It's pretty awesome. I mean, listen, the Chiefs are down. Their best two wideouts. The Eagles are getting back Jalen Carter. I have a good feeling about this weekend, even though the Chiefs are still a very good team. It's funny. It feels like a lot of people kind of wrote off the Chiefs too early. And I get that they lost in week 1. It was a neutral field game. That Brazil games are weird. We knew that last year. When the Eagles took on the Packers, that game felt helter-skelter. There was really no flow to that game at all last year. You shouldn't be surprised that there wasn't a lot of flow to the Chiefs and Chargers game. I don't really look at that as an indictment on the Chiefs. It doesn't make me think, oh, the Chiefs dynasty, this juggernaut is like now dead. I mean, if you listen to people in the offseason, they tell you that Travis Kelce was effectively done as a player, and that's certainly not the case. This is going to be a tough game. I mean, even without the weapons, it's still going to be a tough game. It's still against a team that is actively looking for revenge after you took them out in the Super Bowl a season ago. And it's a quarterback who definitely hears the rumors of his demise and also has heard plenty about how Jalen Hurts has outplayed him in 2 Super Bowls. So, like, there are quite a few reasons we can assume that the Chiefs are going to be highly motivated to win this weekend. Are you worried? Or do you think that this is going to be a blowout?
No, I don't think it's going to be anywhere close to a blowout. The first few weeks of the NFL season are always weird. You still have to work your kinks out, especially with the offense and everything like that. You know, Kevin Patullo is definitely going to have some work up his sleeve for this week to try to, go after a Spags defense that got embarrassed in the Super Bowl last year. But playing Arrowhead, man, it's always a difficult task. The Chiefs, even though last year there was a lot of flaws in their wins, they still found ways to win. And granted, a couple of years ago, even though the Eagles collapsed in 2023, the Eagles won that game, but they were a very drop pass at the end zone away from losing that game. So games in Arrowhead are always weird. It's a major home field advantage for Kansas City, and it's going to be tough. They're going to have to, and this was one of the games that I put on the schedule that, might be a loss. And granted, I'm not saying it's okay to lose.
Wow.
The game
Like
so
Elliot Shore Grossi over here, huh? Amadeo Shore Parks. Amadeo Shore Parks has made an appearance here. Okay.
Hey.
It's an acceptable loss now. Oh, boy.
Never said it was acceptable, but I was just
boy. I'm just looking I saw somebody said that odds-wise, the Chiefs are still the favorite. I'm looking really quick here.
I think the Eagles were like a +1.5 the last time I saw.
No. Sorry, I meant like for their division. It was still that they were let's see, where are the futures at on this here site? I'll find it. There we go. Division. Let's see. AFC West. Yeah, they're still the favorite. FanDuel still has them, but it's a very slight favorite. They're +170. The Chargers right now are +180. The Broncos, who are everybody's dark horse darling, are 270. +270 to win the AFC
in my
West,
fantasy team. I need him to do well.
Yeah, how's that going?
I didn't get spanked in week 1, but also I had a couple of guys that I got Puka Nacua and Xavier Worthy. They both got injured.
I got curb stomped in week 1, so it's fine. It's only up from here.
I had Justin Fields on my bench, and he did well.
While we're on the Eagles here really quick, there is a fun little nugget to come out of Eagles land, and it is specifically about a trade that did not come to fruition, and it is a trade that ultimately didn't happen. And even though there was a lot of incompetence in the NFC East, I don't think any of us are surprised it didn't happen. Jerry Jones went on to the radio, that 105.3 station that we brought up, was it a week or two ago, where they were making it sound like, oh, it's a good thing that the Cowboys got rid of Micah Parsons. The Cowboys are going to be a better team without him. Jerry Jones goes on to the station, and he's asked about this idea that the Eagles apparently tried to trade for Micah Parsons. And so we're going to take a second here. Let's just listen really quickly to Jerry Jones talking about whether or not he was actually close to trading Micah Parsons within the division to the reigning Super Bowl champion Philadelphia Eagles. Jerry, were you seriously considering it?
No counteroffer, and
no counteroffer. All right.
To the interest, the thought all along was to see where the interest level was, and that was very important. And from the get-go, that was an effort on our part to chum up interest. And
all right, so they were trying to drum up interest this whole time while they were apparently still negotiating with Parsons in the background, or trying to. All right, so it's all about drumming up interest. All right, let's keep going.
And that's a part of what was going on during those months that we were talking about Micah. And as it would happen, as it always happens, once that interest started really peaking, then you started having...
And remember, the Eagles apparently had the highest offer. Jay Glazer said that the Eagles had the best offer on the table. All right, we'll keep going.
That phone ring. And that's exactly what the plan was, to see if that phone would ring and the proposition be there enough to for us to make the move. It was always a case of we understand what kind of player Micah is. He's an outstanding player, great player.
Notice, Amadeo, that he didn't call him Michael this time. That's nice. He at least got the guy's name right.
He's a great player, but if the principle specifically is with our system the way we have it today, if we can get 4, 5, 6 players for one player, that's better for our opportunity to win the thing. And that's what it was about, and it didn't surprise me. We had others call. The closer we got to the time we traded Micah, the more the phone started ringing.
Well, no shit, Jerry. Of course more teams got involved the closer you got to trading him, because the word probably got around that he was actually on the trading block. Publicly, the Cowboys didn't even say he was. So you had the Packers offer, you had this reported offer from the Eagles, which, if I remember correctly, Glazer said was 2 firsts. I think there was a second in there, a 5th and a 7th, or a 3rd and a 5th, something like that, among other things. So you would presume that also means at least one roster player. I mean, Howie doing some pretty devilish work there. Howie doing some like voodoo magic potentially. Was he also trying to drive up the price of another NFC contender? Maybe. Like, did the Eagles offer that Jerry was never going to take, did that drive up the price on the Packers? Maybe. But what do we know? The Packers were already a really good team. Adding Micah Parsons probably takes them into that legitimate NFC contender to represent the NFC in the Super Bowl. And by virtue of Micah going there, those first-round picks aren't going to be, number 8, number 6, right? Unless Micah Parsons' legs fall off, which, unless he's going to get gangrene or something, probably isn't going to happen. If he gets to the gout and has to have a foot taken off, all right, maybe things change a little bit for the Packers' odds. But, like, realistically, they're not going to be that valuable in terms of first-round picks, right? Like, they're not going to change everything. So, pretty wild. Pretty wild. Do you think that if you were Jerry Jones, was there a package that the Eagles could have offered you that would have made you say, oh, yeah, we have to consider that. We have to consider this.
I mean, I would have considered the offer that the Eagles sent them originally. I mean, that's a lot of package. That's a lot of return, more than what they fucking got for Green Bay. I'm like, seriously, they got nothing. And it literally describes what you brought up, the whole Peter Griffin mystery box thing. It could be Micah Parsons.
Yeah, exactly. By the way, we just got some very good Adam Silver audio.
Oh boy.
I think we're going to, hold on, let me see. I want to double check that this is legit. I think this is NBA Central and not Central. Okay. We're going to go over here really quick because, you have to be careful sometimes.
Don't want to get centled.
So as we know, we're going to bounce around here today. As we know, the NBA currently is investigating the Kawhi Leonard situation and what's going on with Kawhi. This aspiration $50 million payment now, it seems. There was originally reported by Pablo Torre that it was $28 million. Then there was additional reporting done by the Boston Sports Journal that said there was another $20 million, so that takes it to 48. And that Steve Ballmer, the Clippers owner, multi-billionaire, his investment in aspiration was $50 million. And you go, oh, that's interesting. Adam Silver met with, I don't know what this was from, But Adam Silver was asked at a media scrum, and it doesn't look like it happened that long ago. It happened within the hour. He was asked about the Clippers situation and about Kawhi Leonard, and I want you to hear what he had to say about Aspiration, this company that has been accused by Steve Ballmer of scamming him. Really quick, this is pretty wild. Maybe this gives you an idea of where the league is kind of heading in terms of whether or not they're going to come down hard on the Clippers or not. Here's NBA Commissioner Adam Silver.
Well, when the podcast came out, it was news to me. I frankly never heard of the company Aspiration before, and I'd never heard a whiff of anything around an endorsement deal with Kawhi or anything around engagement with the Los Angeles Clippers. So it was all new to me. I heard it. I saw some of the follow-up information. We spoke internally. Rick Buchanan, our general counsel, is here, who oversees any investigation.
Rick, stand up and wave to the people. He's not waving to anybody. Who the hell? Which one's Rick?
Rick had a conversation with Steve Ballmer, and we quickly concluded this was something that rose to the level that necessitates an investigation. In fact,
ooh, that's interesting, because he could have said we had a quick conversation and realized that this was just fraudulent and no further action was required. He's saying investigation. Okay.
One that's done outside of our office, and Wachtell Lipton, New York law firm that we've used in the past for for investigations like this, is overseeing it. And again, I would also say I've been around the league long enough in different permutations of allegations and accusations that I'm a big believer in due process and fairness, and to now let the investigation run its course.
All right, so that's interesting. Like he didn't absolve the Clippers there. He didn't say nothing to see here, let's move on with our day, or say, what is Aspiration? Who are the Clippers? What is a Kawhi Leonard? Steve Ballmer, what about that guy? Like, interesting that he didn't initially kind of push it off to the side. I find that not super interesting, but it's a little bit intriguing. He could have dumped cold water on the entire thing, and he didn't. So, okay, maybe he's taking it seriously. Maybe. You think a suspension's coming? What do you think?
Maybe.
Fine? Anything?
I think there needs to be at this point, because that is the craziest story that I've ever heard in my life.
It's right up there. There's another NBA-related thing that we, I don't know, this came up today, and I went, all right, this is interesting. And now we're going to get to the Flyers after this. But this was earlier today. Shams put out, the NBA is going to implement a rule for 2025-26. The unsuccessful end-of-period heaves will now be recorded as a missed field goal attempt for the team, not the player. So the long heaves will no longer impact an individual player's percentages. I want you to think about how stupid it is that they had to do this. So on one hand, you go, that's nice. So if you're like Tyrese Maxey at the end of a period and you decide, all right, it's the third quarter, we're down by 2, I'm going to heave this the length of the court. Now it doesn't count against him if he misses it. Is this going to increase the likelihood of a player trying to full court heave? I don't know. If you're a player in the NBA and you're that concerned with your field goal percentage that you wouldn't actively take a shot to try to earn your team some points before the end of a quarter, that's like on you, man. Like think about it. If you're like in what is this? If you're in the battle for the highest 3-point percentage in the league, and you're like, well, I could have done a full court heave, but I don't want to end up second in 3-point percentage this season. So I'm just going to hang on to it. We're losing by 2 points. I'm not going to do it, though. I don't want to hurt my percentage. Or like that guy hands the ball off to the center, and then you're like, all right, go ahead, big fella. Like, you heave it. This is honestly kind of dumb, but I guess it increases the likelihood of teams trying end of the quarter shots. Like, what the hell are we doing? It's so weird. You know?
It's the oddest rule change I've ever seen.
Yeah,
odd.
Here you have Ford. NBA as a product is entertainment. No longer something I enjoy watching. It's a shame because I really like basketball, always have. This to me is like it's stupid. The fact that there were players, like the fact that they did this means that there was communication between the Players Association and the league that says our players would be more likely to put up those shots if it didn't affect their individual percentages. You know how dumb that is?
No, wait,
genuinely dumb.
There's one comment right here that also makes sense by Evan. What happens if they make it? Did the points count for them too?
So here's it is a good question. If you make the shot, if you make the heave, then I would assume that means the player gets credit for the field goal attempt and the field goal make. You would assume. right? Now, here's the other question I have. So Shams said in that tweet, unsuccessful end of period heaves. What if it's just a last second shot? So if we're talking about like it's the end of the second quarter, Sixers are down 18 because Joel Embiid and Paul George are out for the 17th consecutive game, and Tyrese Maxey gets a ball on the inbound and he heaves he puts up a 3-pointer with 0.6 seconds left on the court from the corner, and he misses it. Is that going to count against Tyrese Maxey? What is the line of delineation that dictates what a heave is? Is there a certain amount of time that has to be left on the clock for this to count as a team stat? Does it have to go past half court? Do you have to be at the opposing 3-point line or closer to the sideline for it to count? Like, what is it? Are we going to add another freaking line to the NBA court to say, like, this is the shaded area? We're going to have like a virtual thing. They're going to have like the 3D projections that they do pregame. They're going to, all right, we are in the final 3 seconds of the quarter. And now the shaded zone. And like, what are we doing? What are we doing? Seems crazy, right? Am I nuts?
No.
Might be nuts.
No, maybe they put like a little bit of a red dot that you just had to find on the court. Maybe it's random every game. Maybe it's like find the dot. That's where you got to heave it from, and that's where it won't count.
Joe Papel's right here, by the way. What's next? NFL doesn't count missed field goals over 55 yards. Yeah, they're missed field goal attempts for the team, but not for the kickers. Like, it's so dumb. And Evan here is probably right. Says it's all contract stuff, I'm sure, bonuses, etc. It could be. I don't know how many players have the percentages built into their contract. Also says, if these heaves ruin a 50, 40, 90 season, I could see players being upset, but how common would that be? Okay, but let's even say that is the case, right? 50% from the field, 40% from three-point range, 90% from the free throw line. How much does that season really matter? Like, how many fans, how many pundits, how many Hall of Fame voters are going to say, well, I'll tell you what, I was going to vote for Steph Curry. But there was a season where he ended the season at 39.4% from three-point range because of a couple of full-court heaves. So as it were, I cannot, in good conscience, make him a first-ballot Hall of Famer. We're going to let this go a couple more years. Like, I don't know who's doing that, you know? Seems crazy, right?
Yeah.
I think it seems crazy.
Yeah. It's, like I said, it's weird. The NBA is weird.
The NBA is weird. Speaking of weird, hockey. We haven't talked about hockey in a while on the show. But it is time, because there are flyers on the ice. There were flyers on the ice today. There were pictures circulating of Trevor Zegras, Matvei Mishkov, and Travis Konechny on the ice together today down at the Flyers training center, no longer called Skate Zone. And apparently they have all of the upgrades and all of the updates and the renovations done in that facility now. So if you went down there for dev camp and saw like an active war zone and we're like, where the hell do I stand? It does sound like for training camp now, everything is good to go. I did not go down there. Anthony was down there covering it for On Pattison. He did a write-up. He and I talked a little bit, but I'm actually going to throw to some audio from Keith Jones and Dan Hilferty. We'll react here a little bit. JH is saying, hockey! Yes! Bring on the hockey! Peter
no one wants to point out there was 2 Michkovs on the ice.
Where was the other Mishkov? There were 2 Mishkovs?
Yeah, Rizzo was wearing a Michkov jersey.
Was he really?
Yeah.
See, Massimo Rizzo, he's just trying to get the most out of his time. He's like, you know what? If I wear this jersey, maybe I'll be able... Well, does he think it's like the Monstars? Does he think that if he touches Mishkov's stick, that he's going to steal some of Mishkov's abilities? Please don't do that, Massimo Rizzo. Please don't. Don't do that. I want to go out there because Jonesy and Hilferty met with the media today down at the training center. Oh, I've lost Amadeo. I'm going to remove him here for a second until he unfreezes. I don't know what happened there. I want to go down, though, because we have Jonesy, Hilferty. They met with the media. They had a lot of fun stuff to say. It looks like I got Amadeo back. All right, here we go. They had some interesting stuff to say. So things that we're going to touch on. There was a question about Carter Hart, which veterans they think need to improve going into the season. Thoughts on Mishkov. There was an interesting note about Alexei Kolosov, and ultimately what would make for a successful season. So those are the big items that I think came out of this press conference. So we're going to get to them. We're going to react to them, all that kind of fun stuff. And then I have a couple of other things that I want to get to here before the show ends. Amadeo, are you ready? Are you buckled in? Are you ready to go? Are you buffered and locked and loaded?
Yes.
Okay. Good. Nope, I lost him again. There he goes. Amadeo, why did I lose you? Please come back to me. Come back to me, Amadeo. Okay, let's go out to Jonesy and Hilferty. This first thing is about Carter Hart. Questions abound about Carter Hart and whether or not the Flyers would be actively interested in bringing him back into the fold here in Philadelphia. Surprise, the answer may shock you. All right, let's go out to Jonesy and Hilferty talking about young Carter Hart and whether or not they're going to bring him back to the orange and black.
Well, at this point, we're going to make no comment on that situation. The NHL's made it clear they'll speak first, but right now we're not prepared to comment at all about the Carter Hart situation.
Pretty decisive, but there is a follow-up.
Allowed to talk to him right now or not?
The NHL has told us they're running the show.
So that's it. Like that, as far as the Carter Hart of it all at that press conference is concerned, that was it. This is in line with what we have seen since Hart initially requested personal leave back in 2024. The Flyers have essentially said all communication has to go through the NHL. That's it. Here's the beauty of things, though. That is not the case if you talk to these people behind the scenes. What I can tell you, if you're out there in Flyers land, is that there have been discussions about bringing Carter Hart back. And I know for a fact that there have been conversations had within the front office about the possibility of bringing Carter Hart back. Now, what does that mean? Every team's going to do due diligence. Should they bring back Carter Hart? Well, we've had that conversation many times on the show. Do I think it would represent a massive upgrade? No. Do I think he'd be better than Dan Vladar? Yeah. Do I think that eventually he could be better than Sam Harrison? Maybe. Do I think he'd be better than Sam Harrison after 18 to 24 months off? No, I don't. Do I think he's going to be eligible to join a training camp like this week? No, I don't. There was a rumor going around that the players might be meeting with the league at some point this week. Have not had that confirmed, but that potentially they could look to not appeal the quasi ban that they have right now, but they might try to meet with the league this week to try to get approval or at least conditional approval to get with a team, to negotiate, to potentially join a team. And as of right now, that is it. Like I don't know if there's been any motion on that. I will tell you, though, teams have had these conversations. If you don't think that the Flyers have had this conversation as a front office, if you don't think the Edmonton Oilers have had this conversation, if you don't think that there are at least 6 teams in the league that have had this conversation about whether or not Carter Hart is worth the PR, if he is worth the potential public blowback, you're out of your mind. And I've had people who have sent me clips of other shows, and I have actively said on this show and on Snow the Goalie, I am no longer interested in going to war with other shows as long as they just don't stir shit up for fun, right? There is somebody who actively hates Anthony Sanfilippo who contributes to another show. People DM me videos from their show trying to take pot shots at Anthony. Anthony is easy to take pot shots at. Lord knows I do it a lot to his face. But there's this idea out there that no one in the Flyers front office would tell Anthony or maybe Bundy or me or Kevin Kurz or Jackie Spiegel or maybe Charlie O'Connor or something, that they wouldn't have an off-the-record conversation and say, yeah, I mean, we're kicking the tires. There's somebody out there who's like, oh, nobody from the front office would ever tell anything to a reporter. That's bullshit. I mean, that's bullshit. I'm not going to say who is part of the conversation, not going to say which people are perhaps for the idea of bringing back Carter Hart and which ones might be anti-bringing back Carter Hart, but the conversation's been had. And you can have the conversation with yourself and with your friends and with your fellow Flyers fans about whether or not doing due diligence is the right thing. Despite the fact that I don't think the Flyers should bring back Carter Hart, they should be doing due diligence. Although I will say, the thing I've been very adamant about is the Flyers should go after the NHL. Because if the NHL told the Flyers, you cannot extend him a qualifying offer while all of the Hockey Canada things were going on, they had to give up an exclusive negotiating window by not tendering him a qualifying offer. I think they should kind of push back on the league. And that if he is reinstated and is eligible to sign with another team, the Flyers should be able to get a conditional pick. They should be able to get draft compensation like they would if Carter Hart had been a restricted free agent. That is 1,000% where I'm at. Whether or not I think he's a massive upgrade, not if I think it's a PR nightmare, none of my opinions otherwise should have any bearing on this, the Flyers should push back on the league. Now, if the Flyers proactively decided we are not issuing a qualifying offer, well, fine. But if you listen to that Dan Hilferty answer, when he's asked about Carter Hart, have they had a conversation about Carter Hart? Could they maybe bring back Carter Hart? Have they had conversations with Carter Hart? And he says, the league. If you think in your wonderful mind out there that the league didn't tell the Flyers any kind of guidance about not issuing a qualifying offer to Carter Hart, I think you're out of your mind. So if the league told the Flyers, thou shalt not issue a qualifying offer, then the league should give the Flyers something if Hart decides to sign elsewhere. That to me is fair and equitable. The Flyers were not part of whatever happened. The Flyers were not part of this trial. Carter Hart's alleged actions, right, that were part of this hockey cannon investigation did not happen, allegedly, during Carter Hart's tenure as a member of the Philadelphia Flyers. I don't know why the organization should be penalized. These are my simple points. And if you wanted to extend that to the other teams that perhaps could have also had qualifying offers out to their free agents, we can maybe make that argument that those teams should also be compensated. I'm a simple guy. That's it. JH says, by the way, Flyers should 100% get compensated. See? Joe Papel says Flyers need to do everything they can to increase Carter's value and get some form of compensation. I agree. Evan says, if the NHL wants to give us the number 1 pick this season, I'll take that as compensation, like a Dallas Mavericks Cooper Flag situation. I think Amadeo's back. We're going to bring Amadeo back on here. Let's see if...
Am I good?
I think you're good. Okay. Your thoughts on Carter Hart? Do you think the Flyers should be interested at all? Do you think the Flyers should just give up on this one?
Give up.
Okay.
I don't want him back.
Okay.
It's too much of a PR nightmare. And it's really I'm with you. Like, the Flyers should get some type of compensation for it, but it's just to the fact that why, when you're trying to, what this whole regime has been doing with rebuilding the culture, trying to put, a good face of the Flyers back with the city of Philadelphia, why would you bring in a guy that was involved in a huge scandal, not guilty, whatever people want to decide what it is? Why would you even do that? Why would you try to put that light on the organization when you're just rebuilding all of this stuff? I just don't think it's worth it.
I agree. I think ultimately it's just not worth it. But listen, there are people who are going to think that it is. There are going to be people. Listen, there are people within the Flyers organization who think it's worth it. What I have gathered is that there are some people within the Flyers who might not understand or care. I don't know. It's one or the other. That there could be public blowback, and that public blowback might actually mean something. That public blowback, like, let me put this in a very hypothetical thing for many reasons. If you're considering bringing a player to a team, and that player has something out there, an allegation against them, you better hope that there's nobody else who has not gone public with any kind of allegation of anything or impropriety ever, right? If you, let's use Mike Vick. Mike Vick had accusations, was sent to prison for a dogfighting ring, right? If there were, I don't know, other people who could say, well, Mike Vick actually ran a cockfighting ring, right? Like there were roosters just going head to head in my backyard. And then they said, like, oh, by the way, Michael Vick also had a dog racing racket set up in Zihuatanejo, Mexico. Well, you better hope those people don't come forward if you're the Eagles and you're thinking about signing Mike Vick. If there have been NBA players, right, that have the accusations against them about gambling, right? We know about the legal sports betting stuff that has kind of gone against some players. You better hope that there's no one else who can come out and say, well, actually, that wasn't the extent of it. There's actually more. And in the case of Carter Hart, you better hope that there's not like a scorned ex-girlfriend or somebody who could maybe come public with something. Like, because if it is, signing that player, you now have like a further PR nightmare. Again, could be fair, could be unfair. I don't get it. I don't see the upside here that it makes sense to bring him in. But, people will always say, he's a better option than Dan Vladar. They're not wrong. They're really not wrong. By the way, I've seen this. Evan Alvarez saying Russ with a call-in line would be electric. I have tried to figure this out, figure out the logistics. It is a lot harder than you think. I have considered, however, doing the YouTube memberships thing. And as like part of the YouTube membership thing, which I don't know how I feel about, is giving people the link to join the studio and be able to come on the screen. They can either hop on video or they could hop on just through voice. I have considered that. That might be an okay workaround. It makes me slightly nervous, but I may be open to it. So
now you make me slightly nervous with that.
You know, I actually like the idea, though, of having people be able to call in from time to time or be able to hop on the show for a little bit. So I'm thinking about it. I just need to figure out how it would work. Okay. Tony also says, love you, Russ, but I'd love to debate with you on the heart situation. It could be sweet if you had a call line. All right, I'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. We'll do it live. By the way, I've been told that there might be a way to debate Russ and maybe some other people on a phone line at some point. All right, let's keep going. I'm going to skip the veterans that have to improve because I have to get my kids off the bus in a not very distant time. I want to actually skip to something that I think is very interesting, and that's Alexei Kolosov, Kevin Kurtz's favorite player from last year. I mean, Kevin Kurtz was not a fan of Alexei Kolosov being on the roster last year. I want to go out to Jonesy and Hilferty, though, because they had a whole line of thinking about the goalies that are going to be in camp. And on this show and on Snow the Goalie, we talked about the fact that, like, apparently the Flyers think Kolosov and Fedotov could be in camp. They want to give Carson Bjarnason as much of an opportunity as they can to be the starter at Lehigh Valley. Presumably, Vladar is going to be your backup here. Harrison's going to be your starter. Would seem to like push somebody out. Are you going to have 3 goalies rotating in the AHL? Good God. All right, let's go. Here we go. Tell me about Alexei Kolosov.
Part of that was out of your control, but you could also make the case that maybe something you could have made a move to stabilize that and maybe make the playoffs. Last year, it didn't work with Fedotov and Kolosov. I guess it's a 2-part question. One, in hindsight, were there some mistakes made when it comes to the goaltending, and how do you view the goaltending now and moving forward?
I think it was Kimmelman.
Yeah, I don't know that there were mistakes made. I think we brought in players that have been drafted by the organization.
There were mistakes made. The Kolosov situation was a mistake. There were a lot of issues there, but we have an idea of why. We'll get there in a little bit.
Give them an opportunity. I think there was adjustments that we hoped would occur. Their ability to adjust would occur quicker than it did. I wouldn't write off either guy in Fedotov or Kolosov. Kolosov's obviously younger and is an extremely athletic goaltender. If he can put all the pieces together in the future, he could turn into a very good goaltender. So, he'll be here. Yeah, that's and we're excited about that too. So he has an opportunity, just like everybody else, to come in and show what he has. Developmentally, I think we would prefer that last year he spent a little more time in the American Hockey League. It just was not in the cards. So I wouldn't do it differently, but I'm excited about the depth that we have. And Dan Vladar is somebody that we targeted, and we're very happy that he's part of the mix.
All right, so I'm gonna stop it there. So they very clearly seem to believe it's going to be Harrison and Vladar, but Kolosov and Fedotov are going to be in camp. And Bjarnason's there. And Bjarnason, in fairness, like, is the guy, I think it was the first in fairness of the show, Bjarnason is like the guy that they have the most tied to future-wise, along with Zavragin, who's playing in the KHL, is still really young. If he's able to replicate his performance from a season ago in the KHL this year, you might be having the conversation about, how does Zavragin negotiate his way out of his contract in the KHL and maybe come stateside for 2026 or maybe 2027? Bjarnason is a guy that they want to develop. But this Kolosov and Fedotov thing is interesting. Part of me wonders, and I would love to get your thoughts on Mateo, part of me wonders if this is just posturing. They know they have a glut of goalies. They know they're going to have to move one of those goalies. And he's publicly kind of talking up the youth, the athleticism, how dynamic of a goalie Alexei Kolosov could be. To me, it feels like they're trying to build a case in trading him. What are your thoughts?
Maybe could be the case. I mean, wasn't it going into I remember when you guys brought it up on Snow the Goalie when there was the possibility that Anthony brought up that Fedotov or Kolosov could be traded.
We lost Amadeo. He's gone again. Amadeo. Amadeo's internet. Could not be Xfinity. Would not be Xfinity dropping out like that, or would it? I'll go off of what he said, and then we have to wrap anyway. And we can talk about this more on Friday. Fedotov is making too much money to be traded. Fedotov is a guy that the Flyers were iffy about putting on waivers last year because they didn't want to lose him for nothing, but they knew that the contract was such that no team was going to want to pick it up. Kolosov is a more intriguing prospect, but he has to be willing to play in the AHL. And there is a lot of complications around Alexei Kolosov and that ability or that willingness to play in the AHL. We'll leave it there. I think that ultimately, if you have a duo of Bjarnason and Kolosov in the AHL, it's not a bad thing. You have Fedotov, for better or worse, effectively on ice. Not on the ice, but on ice. Maybe he's up in the press box. Maybe he's hanging out with the Phantoms. And if and when there's an injury to a Vladar or to an Harrison, Fedotov is the first guy that gets called up. I think that that's possibly likely. And then the question is, if you have Kolosov playing down in the AHL, does he need to be the starter? And does that allow you to kind of shelter Bjarnason a little bit and have him develop a little bit more slowly? There are a lot of questions. We don't have a lot of answers. I think that we will know more by Friday. I think we'll have a better idea of where things are going by Friday. So Friday, we'll talk more about the Flyers. We'll, of course, talk about the Eagles and the Chiefs as they go into the weekend. Oh, and by the way, the baseball team's playing pretty damn well, and Harrison Bader might be the most likable guy on the team. Oh, and by the way, Kyle Schwarber hits 50 home runs, 34th guy in the history of Major League Baseball to hit 50 homers in a season. Pretty wild stuff. Oh, and apparently the Philadelphia Union have some stuff going on this weekend as well. Friday will be a loaded show. Make sure you join me here on the Russ Joy Show on YouTube. You can find us over at the Joy Media account on YouTube as well, on Facebook, on X, at Joy on Broad. You can find the show wherever you get your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon Music, wherever you get your podcasts. Until Friday, this has been the Russ Joy Show. I've been Russ Joy, but you knew that already because you're smart, and it's also the name of the show. Talk to each and every one of you very soon. And by the way, you can keep the comments and the conversation going over in the community tab on the Russ Joy Show YouTube channel. So you can juice up, gas up Ford, because Ford wants to hop on the show. Maybe Ford will have to do a YouTube membership and then spar on the show here on the Russ Joy Show. Big thank you to video guy Amadeo. Big thank you to all of you who watched and who listen after the fact in the podcast feed. I'll talk to each and every one of you Friday here on the Russ Joy Show.